is Joy News Prime.
Welcome to Joy News Prime. My name is Israelite. From wherever you're watching, this is the most comprehensive 2 hours of television news in Ghana. Coming up, President Mohammed hits back at opposition New Patriotic Party over comment he's incompetent as he rounds off his Changing Lives tour. Finance Minister pledges to meet government's financial obligations to ensure the Electoral Commission is adequately resourced to conduct the 2016 elections. Economist and former GIMPA rector Professor Stephen Adair says Ghanaians cannot expect to see much change in their lives going by the growth rate government is projecting for 2016.
And in business tonight, the Bank of Ghana increases its policy rate to 26%, 100 basis points as it moves to contain rising inflation rate.
And that's what I'm saying. We'll be joining me with business in about 30 minutes. But also in the bulletin, vital road construction contracts feared lost in fire at Ghana Highway Authority head office Monday morning. Also in the bulletin, we'll bring you entertainment, sports. Please stay tuned. This bulletin is also available, across Europe on ABN television, on the Sky platform, as well as Freeview Connect station. In our very first story, the Deputy Chief Executive of the Ghana Highway Authority fears essential road contract may have been lost in a fire that burned portions of the headquarters building in Accra on Monday. Although the fire service has not officially established the cause, the fire is said to have started from an air conditioning unit in the Chief Executive's registry.
The fire started early hours of Monday at the 4th floor of the building. The timely intervention of the Ghana National Fire Service prevented the fire from spreading further. The fire started before working hours, thus no casualties was recorded.
We realized the whole of the top floor was engulfed in smoke, and upon our assessing the place or getting access to the place, we realized it was one office that was involved in the fire, and so we had to do what we call breaking. Breaking simply means we had to use our implements to break to have access to the place. And that is what exactly happened. So within 15 minutes, we were able to bring the fire under control and completely extinguish within 30 minutes.
Okay, so but were there any casualties recorded?
There were no casualties recorded, neither on the side of workers here, because only a few of them had reported at the time, nor on the part of firemen.
Okay, so do we know exactly what might have sparked this fire?
We have a clue or a lead that we are following, but until we finish our investigation to confirm it or otherwise, we will not be able to come out and say anything now. Because it's not a modern structure, modern fire detection and firefighting equipment are not on board. For instance, if it were to be a modern building, then you have fire defense systems such as automatic sprinklers that in such a situation it will trigger itself and fight the fire. But because this is an old structure, we don't have such modern equipment on board.
Deputy Chief Executive Administration Francis Hammond said they are yet to quantify the loss. However, he fears valuable documents on various road constructions, especially signed contracts stored at the Chief Executive's registry, are likely to be consumed by the fire.
We've put up the power in the block. Their plan is to wait a while, get some sensitive areas to dry, and then they'll put the power back, and then they'll check how far things have gone. When they are okay, they will isolate the place where the fire affected. About three officers. Yes. Now we don't know. Yeah, we don't know. When the fire service has declared the place safe, then they will try and determine the source or the cause of the fire. Although we know that it was the air conditioner who started it, but at least when they also confirm it, then we'll know. Then we go back to see the rooms that have been affected, how much is lost, and what can be regained. Luckily, it is not the Chief Executive Registry is not the place where we keep all our records. No, it is a holding place for documents that are coming into Ghana Highway Authority to the Chief Executive for his action, and then some of those that are coming out from his office for his. Obviously, some documents have been lost. Yes, so some of those have been lost. So we are now going to see which ones are lost, which ones are not.
Staff of the Ghana Highways Authority have since been evacuated from the building.
Also, the fire service in the northern region has opened investigations into a fire outbreak that destroyed a warehouse and several shops in the Tamale industrial area.
The shops and warehouse contained farm tractors, containers full of lorry tires, car batteries and over 50 drums of oil worth hundreds of Ghana cedis. A shop owner, Mark Akolugu, who refused to talk to the news team on camera, said he is still counting his losses. Fire officials who battled the blaze with 6 fire tenders in about 4 hours say they are investigating what may have caused the fire.
Every fire, there's a way of fighting every fire. It is not every fire that you can control within an hour or 2 or 3. Sometimes it can take about a week. Even the foreign countries, it can take a week, 2 weeks to fight a particular fire. This one, it involves oil. So it is not something like you just throw on water and that is all. You have to use foam to extinguish the fire. And even when you thought you have finished everything, others will also start from somewhere. So we have to be here until you see that everything is completed off. That's why you saw us. We have been here for that long time and we are still here. We have to see that everything is under control. For now, I don't want to talk about the findings of what happened, whatever happened for the fire. We will normally concentrate on the extinguishing of the fire. That's the first thing. Then later we'll do investigation to know what caused the fire. So the cause of the fire, for now, we can't make it out until the investigation is carried out before we take it out. No, if you talk about fire safety, I don't think there's any problem here. See, it depends on how you put on your structures and how you manage yourself and how you put your things here together. After, I don't see anything here that, determine that it's a fire-prone area or whatever. The site of the shop is okay. You don't see need to talk about it.
President John Mahama has launched a full-scale attack on the New Patriotic Party as he concluded his nationwide Changing Lives tour. The president has been touring the regions ahead of the governing party's presidential and parliamentary primaries this weekend. Kwacha Frenuama has been on tour with the president all day and joins me in the studio with more. Good evening to you, Kwacha.
Good evening, Idra.
What exactly did the president say that you're saying that it's a full-scale attack on the NPP?
Well, first of all, let's put all this in context. I think about 2 months ago, when the president picked up nomination forms to contest as the flag bearer of the party, I spoke to Kofi Adams after the entire ceremony, and he made it clear that going into the 2016 election, the NDC will adopt a deliberate strategy to use the MPP's own internal wranglings against them on campaign platforms. Now, we know that President Bahama was speaking on a platform that was supposed to be concerning the party's own internal processes. Even though he's going unopposed, he took this opportunity to attack the MPP. The point he makes, among others, is that we've heard the likes of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, running mate to Nana Akufo-Addo, say that President Mahama is incompetent. What the president is saying is that most of these people have not been anywhere close to the presidency, and so he's surprised that they can pass comments of that nature. We can hear from President Mahama, who spoke at a trade fair here in Accra.
I have been the most insulted. Indeed, I think my government has been the most insulted government in the history of this country. And every day you listen to the radio and personal invectives and insults are rained on my person. But like I said, those things are not going to distract me. I have a job to do. So boy, I was given a mandate by the people of Ghana, and I'm not going to let those useless insults distract me from that mandate. So boy, but I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. If you see what your enemy will do to themselves, then you can guess what they will do to you if they get you. So boy, the other day I received an audio recording on my WhatsApp, and I opened it and listened to it. Indeed, I felt so sad. I felt sad. I mean, no cultured person should ever do what the woman who was talking on that audio did, Auntie B or whatever her name is, insulting the former president of this country. I mean, it's unacceptable. I don't know how many of you have heard that audio recording. It's unacceptable. And I felt sad for President Kofi, but then it also gave me, in Twi we say, arishim, because if they can insult President Kofi like that, they ask for me, they will grind me in Apotoyua. They'll grind me in Apotoyua. They've told all their communicators, anytime you mention Mahama or NDC, say incompetent. And so you hear Baumia and Co say incompetent Mahama administration, incompetent. You've never held any responsibility anywhere near presidency before. You don't know what it is like to be president. So boy, I will take that word from Kofi or from Rawlings because they've been there before. All of you guys have never ever come near the presidency. You know what it is to be a president? And you stand and say, incompetent Mahama administration, incompetent Mahama administration.
Right, so that was President Mahama. Is he by that suggesting then that he probably shouldn't be criticized by nobody else apart from those who have been president before?
Well, I think he makes the point that if you, to earn the right to criticize me, you must at least have a certain understanding of what my job is about.
My understanding is that you know, the national organizer of the NDC has also, you know, joined in the attacks against. I can imagine he may have gone a lot further.
Right. And Mr. Kofi Adams makes two key points here. One, he talks about the fact that when we look at the age debate, there's been a lot of talk about the fact that, well, Nigeria has elected a president who is, you know, in his 70s. You have Ouattara as well, who's in his 70s, and that's one of the main arguments that the MPP communicators have put forward to say that, well, Nana Addo is not too old to become president of this country. What Kofi Adams is saying is that, well, those two individuals, those two presidents, yes, are in their 70s, but at a certain point in their country's histories, they held that position as that enabled them to be either head of state or, you know, that very powerful position. For example, Ouattara was at a point prime minister of his own country. And the second point Mr. Kofi Adams makes is that in the MPP now, you have a lot of even top party officials accusing some members of some national executives, notably Kwabena Japan and Paul Afoko, of being in bed with the NDC. And he says that, well, this is a good indication that indeed, if the argument is anything to go by, it means President Mahama is doing a great job. Their own people want to, you know, side with him. And clearly that shows a clear signal there that President Mahama is poised for victory in 2016.
Right. What else is happening on the Changing Lives tour? Is there another program?
Well, it ends tomorrow already. We know that President Mohammed has been to the 9 other regions. He was in Tamale over the weekend. He ends all this. He'll meet with some chiefs here in the Greater Accra region. He also traveled to Dodowa to interact with the people there and finally bring it to a finality as the party enters the crucial polls on November 21, just this Saturday.
All right. Thank you very much, Kwache Afre Nyama. Kwache Afre Nyama is with our political desk, and he's been following President Mahama on his changing lives tour the whole of today. We're taking a break at this point. We're back with more stories. Please don't go away.
Indeed, if the argument is anything to go by, it means President Mahama is doing a great job. Their own people want to, side with him, and clearly that shows a clear signal there that President Mahama is poised for victory in 2016.
Right. What else is happening on the Changing Lives tour? Is there another program?
Well, it ends tomorrow already. We know that President Mohammed has been to the 9 other regions. He was in Tamale over the weekend. He ends all this. He'll meet with some chiefs here in the Greater Accra region. He also traveled to Dodowa to interact with the people there and finally bring it to a finality as the party enters the crucial polls on November 21, just this Saturday.
All right. Thank you very much, Kwache Afre Nyama. Kwache Afre Nyama is with our political desk, and he's been following President Mahama on his Changing Lives tour the whole of today. We're taking a break at this point. We're back with more stories. Please don't go away. Welcome back to Joy News Prime. And last week, Friday, the Finance Minister was in Parliament to talk about the budget for 2016. There's a bit of talking that has gone on, and this evening we have in the studio Professor Stephen Ade, and he's going to be telling us his take about the 2016 budgets. Good evening to you,
Good evening.
Professor Ade.
Good evening.
Right, so what are your initial thoughts about the 2016 budget?
Well, someone says that, do you want the bad news or the good news first?
Give us the good news first.
I would decide what the good news. I think that first of all, we must congratulate the minister that he has tried to situate the current budget within a 3-year framework, which means that it's not just 1 year you'll finish. He's giving us almost like a roadmap for 2016 to 2018, which is quite good, especially since the government has woefully failed to bring up any strategic plan during the last few years and where we are going. I think the rolling 3-year plan, and of course that makes things look better, because when you look at whatever they are talking about, the growth rate or inflation, the 3 years is better than the first year, so it has also a very good political stint about it. I think the second thing which is good about the budget is the fact that, at least in theory, their commitment not to unnecessarily reflate the economy, the usual problems we have in the election year. So what they have presented is relatively conservative. Whether they will be able to obey it or not, I don't think. So far, the history, not of NDC, but all our governments, shows that this is it may be just a matter of talk. But if they do, and we can only take the minister on his word, then it will be a very unusual one. Though it won't be too unusual, because when you are on the IMF program, your hands are tied as to what. That makes me think, how are they going to finance their usual things they do unless they have stuck enough money somewhere else to support the elections? So it is conservative. It is not meant to disrupt things too much in an election year. And also, I think that for the first time, even though in other ways they try to exaggerate, they are being realistic as to what they can do. So in that sense, I will give a plus for what has happened.
But in that case, then it makes it not look so ambitious.
Yes. Because they cannot be unambitious when you have almost ruined the economy and you are in a stabilization period.
Oh, they've almost ruined the economy?
We were growing at 14%, came to 11%, 8%. Now we are struggling to get 4%. I mean, this is almost not real in the sense of spoiled economy, but the growth rate, inflation has stabilized for me. So therefore, if since last year the government is taking steps to manage these negative trends, controlling the appetite for borrowing, which now the minister says that he'll be borrowing at a reduced rate of so we are not sure what it will come. But what I'm saying is that in that sense, there is a positive direction.
Right.
And I think that we should give the government the credit for that.
Now the bad news.
The bad news is when you are projecting to grow at 4.2%, with population growing about 2.5%, you are talking about 1.5%. In real terms, let me tell you, nobody will see any change in their life because of 1.5% or so real growth. I think that some of the sectors, by their own projections, are very, very bothersome. I don't think agriculture is being stimulated enough. We have seen cocoa drop in about 5 years from about 1 million to 750 at most. I doubt whether we can reach that metric tons. The issue is not so much the price. Yes, the price is not the best, but if you reduce the quantum of your production by 25%, who is going to make up for that? And this is an area where we can do something about it. We don't see much being done about it. Manufacturing is still going to be in the doldrums, and there isn't anything that is going to stimulate it, because I believe that we can do a lot more than that. Nigeria has banned about 500 products into the country. We say that, look, everything, toilet roll, which you can use grass, which grows around to produce, and waste paper to produce.
You're not suggesting that we should ban.
No, there are certain things. I mean, Ghanaians, all of us are used to certain things, you know. But if we are going to develop, we must be serious. And I think that we can take steps to stimulate production, especially in agriculture, much more, and then manufacturing very seriously. Again, I mean, a lot of things being said, oil money, but if you see the oil proceeds that come to Ghana as a proportion of our GDP or national revenues, that is not the major one. The base is that the other real sectors are lagging behind. And we are talking about roads being constructed here and there, but we are not looking at strategic roads. They are not the same. I mean, grant everybody would like to have a nice road to your village, but this one, all roads are not the same. We must open up our farm brains and make it a bread basket. We must do a lot more of mechanized farming in a larger scale in the 3 northern regions, which the climate is much higher, the vegetation, everything else. There must be some bolder actions. I'm not seeing that one. And I must confess that other people have said it, so I don't want to belabor it. I mean, I didn't listen to all that the minister said. I'm not going to sit down for 3 hours to tell me what every borehole is going to be and everything else. The strategic issues are not, have been lost. And somebody was saying in a very bad taste that, Americans have billions of dollars of budget and they read it in less than 1 hour, and we have peanuts. All our national income is below that of Lockheed, one company, or GE, and we spend 3 hours propagandizing. I mean, that's one. So I think that as a nation, we must confront our development challenges. Do you know, I always use it, so it's a beaten horse, so you may, if you have heard it before. The roads which were made by Julius Caesar are still motorable. If you go to Rome, some of the streets, they have preserved the roads which were made 2,000 years ago. And you know what they used? Burnt bricks and stones. They did themselves. We can use pavement. We use pavement block. My house is all pavement block. Articulators come there on low things and other things. And when a place gets down, We just remove them, put it on that and put it there. And we can't talk about 100,000 youth employment. I mean, come on. 100,000 youth employment will not even make a difference in unemployment in Accra. And let alone go to Kumasi and tackle the other things. We must have a strategy whereby we are going to create jobs in the hundreds of thousands. Because if not, let me tell you, we are going to have a serious crisis. So, and I'm not talking about just reflating the economy, but there are certain real steps that we can take in order to create real jobs, because they are not the ones, political jobs, give jobs to the boys during an election year. But I think we can do some, even under the current constraints. So it is, I give them an A for being realistic and not at least saying they will be. The fact that it's in a 3-year framework. But I think that Ghanaians also requires a very serious development-oriented budget.
Now, how is the business community also receiving this budget? I mean, you're on a number of boards in this country.
Yeah, well, I cannot be speaking for any board I'm on because there's been no board meeting since. So I'm talking in my individual capacity. Don't go and the manufacturing companies I serve on, the banks and the rest, don't go and say that is our view. It is, we haven't met. I'm going, actually it's the responsibilities of the chief executives to analyze them and come and justify how they are going to respond to me and not vice versa. So that clarified. I think that it is again a missed one. There wasn't much bombshell, you know, increasing taxation and all those type of things. So in that sense, the business community can rest a little bit that, you know, at least we are not. Inflation is going to be fought under it. Hopefully, the stabilization of the cedi will result. There's not, so that there will not be much depreciation if what we are being told fulfills. But again, as I said, there isn't much in almost any sector which says that now we are going to hold on to this. I don't think that there's any, apart from they are talking about electricity. Yes, but assuming that the 845 megawatts come on board, it will only put us where we were 3 years ago. Not in terms of the generating capacity, but in terms of availability, we wouldn't have gone anywhere. We cannot start any petrochemical serious industry that requires this. So you can. So it's a matter of we were getting electricity about 3/4 of the year. We now get it for a year. So that's a relief. But if I want to set up a very serious industry that requires energy, that is going to be a long term, it's not going to happen. I don't think that the credit crunch, and this, you know, the banks are not lending. Yes. Seriously. And there's nothing that, for me, indicates that that credit ease, a credit crunch, is going to be eased. So, in that sense, those who have challenges in their businesses, some may still go under. And that is quite serious. And that is where I say that there must be some other radical measures. There are certain things we must stop. The government must use its purchasing power to say that on this one, I'm going to buy only Ghanaian rice. No government money to a school or university or anybody should be allowed to be used for any rice other than Ghana rice. Period. Right. And you can then produce, the farmers will respond immediately to it. And so I don't think that there's a radical thing that they can be. The only thing is that their situation will not be worse, and that's not good enough.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Stephen Nade. Professor Stephen Nade has been speaking to us about the 2016 budget. You're watching Joy News Prime. We'll be back with more. Please don't go away. It's time now for Business in Etonam Say has joined me in the studio. Good evening to you, Etonam.
Good evening, Israel.
So we've been hearing Professor Stephen Ade, an economist, a renowned economist, that's speaking about the budget, reacting to the budget, and apparently there's more reactions on the budget coming up.
There is, Israel. I mean, people are not very comfortable. People think that some of the projections government has put forward are ambitious. So we've had some economists reacting to that. And on the back of that, the policy rate has been increased to 100 basis points.
That's quite interesting, I mean, because it clearly means that there will be implications for the cost of credit.
So if you, it means that if you're accessing or if you're servicing loans, you're going to be suffering because interest rates will go high.
Right, you give us the details.
All right, now, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana has increased its policy rate to 100 basis points, meaning the lending rate is now at 26%. This is the second time the policy rate has been increased since June and the highest one in the long while. Speaking at the news conference a while ago, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Kofi says the move was influenced by attempts to control inflation, which was on the increase.
The inflation end of year, we expect that it will be above 17%, maybe the lower 17s. We are currently 17.4, and we think that the rate it will end the year between 17 and 17.4. So all these are fed into our target. So it's not only the Fed decision that is taken into consideration in arriving at this. All developments in the both domestic and external markets are taken into consideration. The tightening financial conditions, China, what is happening in China, and other emerging markets, and so on, they are all taken into consideration in arriving at this, as well as what, for example, when we did the last MPC, the projection is that we're going to have a lower inflation rate for October than what happened. So all those factors are taken into consideration in deriving the target of when we are able to do it. So
the action by the central bank is likely to influence the cost of lending in the country. This might lead to hikes in lending rates of commercial banks too. Assessment of current economic conditions, according to the Bank of Ghana, shows that though monetary policy remains tight, some additional tightening is required to re-anchor the displaced inflation expectations. This, together with the ongoing fiscal consolidation, is expected to break the high inflation inertia.
That in other words, the expenses are based on available revenue. So instead of spending more, because where are they going to spend from? The central bank financing is reduced, and so what they are doing is that coordinating more the expenditure with the revenue. So the further revenues are low, yes, that poses some stress, but then they have to deal with it, and that's what they are doing, dealing with those stress. But then with the resolution of the energy crisis and so on, we expect that to improve.
It adds that the risks to the inflation outlook were on the upside, with a likelihood of a further drift away from the medium-term target, hence its decision on the monetary policy rate. Now, Deputy Minister of Finance Mona Quartey is insisting measures being put in place by government will indeed reduce the public debt to appreciable levels very soon. The assurance follows concerns that government debt management strategies are not working. Despite all the measures, the public debt has increased to 92 billion Ghana cedis as of September. But speaking this morning, she says that, if not for the measures they put in place earlier, it could have been worse.
Well, we will need funds to continue to do the work that government has to do to deliver on projects and so forth. So we will need that additional 500 million at some point. But of course, we will be careful the terms upon which we do it and the cost of it. The last one that we did, although the price seemed high, we got a 15-year tenor. That in itself was a great achievement. So the price may not have been that great, but the tenor of 15 years was great. So for the next 500, we could do it either as a bond or another source of financing. So we are not fixed on any one particular way of doing it. In terms of interest rates, it's a matter of negotiations. This one was high, but we know that the interest rates in the US is coming from a very low level, so it's not as if it's shooting high up, but we'll be able to negotiate. Now, the sinking fund, which we have in place, which is a debt service reserve account, basically, it's an account where you voluntarily put money in there towards debt servicing. That alone gives a lot of confidence and comfort to lenders, and therefore when you have such structures in place, they are able to give you loans at fairly reasonable prices, sometimes below market. So we are putting in all the structures to make sure that lenders gain confidence in our economy and what we are doing with respect to debt management, so we can get money at better rates.
Mona Korte there. Now, the minority in Parliament has questioned the economic policy statement as not offering solutions to the current woes facing the economy, touting it as a dead goods budget. It appears some analysts are equally disappointed. One of such is economist Dr. Eric Osesibi with the University of Ghana.
Was really expecting a much more focus on the productive sectors of the economy, that we have very active and deliberate policies to support the agricultural sector, to support the manufacturing sector, so that while government try to achieve fiscal consolidation, you also make sure that it takes steps, to support these sectors. Interest rates should come down, And there weren't too many surprises, honestly. I mean, we kept waiting for the bank, the minister to hit on the policy that we all say, wow, okay, we've gotten it, and nothing of such came. So I was even surprised when they said that the budget has ended, and I said, wow, I didn't really hear anything that was striking, because it's almost like, rehashing of the previous initiatives that have been mentioned. And so for me, when we say consolidating, I was saying, well, what's it that we're going to consolidate anyway? I was rather expecting to see an accelerating progress, rather than consolidating progress, because we need to really accelerate our progress and come out of the doldrums that we have found ourselves in the last 2-3 years.
Now, Ghanaians must brace themselves to pay more taxes in 2016. This follows the passage of the Income Tax Act this year to complement the Value Added Tax, the Customs Act, and the Excise Law. Tax Services Senior Manager with PricewaterhouseCoopers Ghana, Beku Jan Kwanzaa, explains this.
That law has a lot of changes as far as our income tax regime is concerned. But it's been put out as if we're not going to see any change in tax rates, etc. Now, for resident persons, if you earn income, your worldwide income will be taxed. Previously in Ghana, we had a regime called capital gains tax. The tax was 15% on the gains that you make when you dispose of any asset that gives rise to capital gains. So, for instance, you sell a building, you sell land, you'll be subjected to 15% tax. Now that has been removed and you'll be subject to tax at the general rate. So the question that follows up is, what is the general rate? In Ghana, the general rate is 25%, which implicitly means that the capital gains tax has increased from 15% to 25%. The other thing that is worth mentioning to the business community is the fact that withholding taxes on services for residents has also been revised from 5% to 15%. So let me give an example. Previously, if PwC wants Joy FM to do something for PwC, it is expected that when we are paying you, we would withhold 5% of that and send it to government and give you evidence that we've done that. Now that amount has moved from 5% to 15%. So once again, this was not expressly mentioned in the budget, but these are all changes that the business community would have to deal with.
Time to talk cash now, and John Amwako is here to take us through the stock and commodity markets. John, tell me, we have some good news with the crude oil prices.
Well, crude is, unfortunately, crude is not doing that well for our country, you understand? It's like things are not really working that well for Ghana. But then, I don't know whether it's actually a vote of no confidence for this budget read just about last Friday, because crude is really losing almost about 2.75%. It opened the market today at $44.75 dollars per barrel, losing almost about 64 cents. Okay, that is not a good news, because consistently been losing. Cocoa, one of our mainstays, also did lose somewhere around 1.14%, not doing that well.
And we can see the figures.
Exactly.
Right.
So these are not very good indication, actually. The only thing that gained a bit is gold, but it wasn't that significant.
Small, yeah,
okay,
0.05.
Really not that significant.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are signs of hard times to come. The minister had just finished his presentation of the budget, pegging the barrel of crude to almost about $58 per barrel. We're hoping to see that maintained and not go down, so he would not come back to Parliament to review it again. Right. And actually, on the stock market, yeah, a lot is happening. Yeah. A day after the budget was read, the minister just did indicate that to the fact that he would want to actually move stock, debt trading from the central bank to the Ghana Stock Exchange. Right. That should have actually given a signal to investors that things are going to happen. But indeed, it didn't really happen that way. Different. It's totally different. Today, as we speak, Benso Oil Palm Plantation lost about 2 cedis, 80 pesos. Okay? That is really unthinkable. And then Ghana Commercial Bank also lost some money to their investors. So those holding stocks or shares of Benso Oil Palm Plantation and Ghana Commercial Bank have lost money.
Not a good
and
picture.
Today, there's one thing that also happened, which I think is significant for investors on the market, to do with the fact that the market lost a lot of money. People were not really prepared to trade on the market today. We only saw about 39,000 trades on the market.
And usually how many people?
Sometimes we see about 2 million, 3 million. Today only about 39,000 happened. What is it? Is it a vote of no confidence for the budget or not? We actually live to see.
And
the currency is also still not doing that well, because the dollar is still strengthening against the cedi, even though we've seen some stability over the period. The British pound same and the euro same. But then the only thing, like I always say, is the trades among Africa, amongst ourselves on the continent. The cedi is doing quite well against the South African rand.
But we don't really trade in the rand. So
we don't, but at least we do some trading with South Africa.
Pounds and
exactly.
Euro.
But these major trading currencies, we aren't doing that well. But then the positive news that I could actually give to the market is that we are doing quite relatively well. So I think this is a Monday. Let's see what happens as the week goes.
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful, John.
Indeed, you should be.
Right, that's how we wrap up with business. My name is Eton Amte. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com.
Watching Joy News Prime. Empower Minister Dr. Kwabena Donkor has lauded the efforts of the managers of a renewable energy project in the Gumwa East District of the Central Region. The Onyadze Solar Energy Project will generate 20 megawatts of electricity to power about 20,000 homes. TV Idris has more.
The current load shedding exercise seems to have worsened in recent days. That may partly be blamed on the fact that the country, as at Monday, November 16, was shedding 450 megawatts of power. This project, developed by PTL Technologies, a wholly Ghanaian-owned renewable energy company, is expected to ease the load shedding exercise. The project, though completed, is yet to start full operations.
We had a tariff with the ECG, signed the PPA agreement, so based on the one they will pay us. So we need to just pay on time so we can support the project moving well. So,
Are they going to pay you more or pay at the same price?
They had the tariff, so we can based on that one to pay that one.
The power minister, who paid a working visit at the facility, considered that the 20 megawatts that will be produced by the company would be very marginal in terms of the energy needs of the country. But he says this is still positive.
The history of solar across other jurisdictions is that whenever they've gone on a tender, they've obtained a lower price. And so we will want to benchmark not just for that particular farm, so that that can also be serve as a negotiating point on future IPPs.
What is the feed-in tariff? As of today, we'll be shedding 450 megawatts of power. This is 20 megawatts. How significant would you say this would be to ensure that the Dumso situation is a bit relieved?
Well, I don't know about Dumso. I know about load shedding. If we are talking about load shedding, let me know if it's load shedding.
Load shedding I'm talking about.
Well, load shedding is not Dumso. They are two different terminologies, and I prefer sticking to load shedding. Well, you are telling me we are shedding 450 today. I haven't checked. But on the average, we shed between 300 and 500, depending on which day. So 20 megawatts will not be massive, but however, it is a very important first step in our solution mix.
The Power Minister has set himself an end-of-year deadline for ending the power crisis. When asked if he still stands by his words, Dr. Kwamna Donko declined to answer, but said Ghanaians should keep their fingers crossed. There's also this issue about getting money to get our thermal plants running. We owe up to the tune of 1.3 billion, and that's money.
Well, I don't know whether we owe 1.3 billion, and here I'm prepared to talk only about renewable energy. We can talk about other things elsewhere.
I'm not pushing you to the wall, but I'm just worried.
I wouldn't even be pushed.
So I'm wondering, because that has been the talk of time, I'm wondering whether you can achieve that deadline for Ghanaians to be happy.
Well, let's wait and see.
Right, thank you.
Watching Joy News Prime, we're taking a break. We'll be back with international news. If Akwari Singh has joined me to tell us what's coming up on Joy News Interactive. Good evening to you, Efwa.
Good evening, Israel.
I trust you had a wonderful weekend.
I did. Actually went out of town for a bit.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. Well, this was coming up. Solidarity for Paris causes a bit of confusion on social media. A school head is asking that the computer placement system that takes your children from JHS to SHS be scrapped. Do you agree?
I think the whole system is much better because this computer, whatever, is giving much problems.
We'll also be telling you about another system. This one is the National Identification Card. The system is to be relaunched, and a few of you feel some way about it.
There's no need to be launching and launching. We don't launch one national ID card twice. It doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, and finally, President Mohammed takes shots at opposition.
You know what it is to be a president? And you stand and say, incompetent Mohammed administration. Incompetent Mohammed administration.
Yeah, Israel, it's a packed interactive segment coming up in a bit.
I can see. All right, so we'll be joining you. Efwa Akwari will be joining us to give us the entire rundown on Joy News Interactive that comes up in the next hour of the bullet. We also have entertainment and sports coming up. Please don't go away. Welcome back to Joy News Prime Time now for a recap of our top stories. President Mahama has hit back at the opposition New Patriotic Party over comment he's incompetent as he rounds off his Changing Lives tour. Economist and former game director Professor Stephen Adai says Ghanaians cannot expect to see much change in their lives going by the growth rate government is projecting for 2016. In vital road construction contracts are feared lost in a fire at the Ghana Highway Authority head office on Monday morning. Workers of the Volta Textiles Limited in Japan have formally petitioned President Mohammed and the Trade Ministry to ensure that the outstanding salaries are paid. Some of them have not been paid for 10 months. One of the workers' leaders told Joy News the government's failure to pay them has brought them untold hardship.
It is very heart-paining. You work in the state's property for 10 good months without earning any salary. We, the workers of VSTL, are appealing to the government, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, to wake up and come to our aid to say the company Volta Textiles Limited is in his hands or is being managed by a single person in the ministries or anywhere else, because we are dying. Our children have been left out of school. Even when some got an admission to further, they can't just because of non-payment. Utility bills are standing there unchecked.
The Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Marietta Opong, has appealed the High Court decision that absolved businessman Alfred Boyom of any wrongdoing. The Attorney General is back in court, arguing the High Court Judge Justice John Ajed-Nassam erred in law when he acquitted and discharged Boyom of the charges brought against him by the state.
Alfred Boyome, a self-styled financier of the governing National Democratic Congress, NDC, was alleged to have defrauded the state by false pretenses and causing financial loss to the state to the tune of 51.2 million. The state maintained the trial judge erred in law when he said the prosecution failed woefully to establish a prima facie case against Boyome. The state urged bribery scandal. The judge who presided over the Boyome trial has stated on March 12, 2015 that he did not understand why key actors in the case, including former Attorney General and her deputy Betty Moldidrisu and Ebobat Nudru respectively, were not invited to testify. He described the prosecution's case as shoddy and therefore acquitted and discharged Boyome. He also ruled the prosecution had twisted facts when he stated that there had been a misrepresentation leading to the payment of 51.2 million to Boyome. But according to the prosecution, the personalities the trial judge held should have been called by the prosecution were immaterial to the case because officers from their various departments had testified. All these personalities referred to by the judge had nothing useful to add to what the prosecution witnesses who were called had already said.
The Finance Minister has pledged to ensure the Electoral Commission is adequately resourced to conduct the 2016 elections. The ministry has resulted in talks with the EC over its budgetary proposals. Those talks are between the EC, the Finance Ministry and a special parliamentary committee. Finance Minister said TechBed disclosed this at a post-budget workshop for the parliamentary press corps.
We see a successful elections as, a very important input or element in our economic management. If you don't have a stable, environment, no investor will come. And therefore it's important, that, Ministry of Finance plays its role. In this regard, we are working with the Special Committee in Parliament, and the Ministry of Finance and Electoral Commission. It's a public cost. And so these three are looking at, the costs, what can be saved and whatever. That is the oversight role of Parliament. And we joined recently in a discussion. So as we said, in the budget, we will do our best, despite the setbacks that the economy is going through, to try and, fund the elections.
The Deputy Volta Region Minister Francis Ganyaglo is asking Ghanaians to patronize Made in Ghana rice to help boost local production. Speaking at the Amu Rice Festival in Abathume, Mr. Ganyaglo said, besides helping with economic growth, local rice is also nutritious and affordable. He says government will from 2016 put in measures to ensure that rice produced in Ghana will be exported to rake in some extra income to help develop rice producing areas.
Rice is not only a food crop to reduce hunger, but also one with the potential for making significant contributions to the national economy. The quality of rice produced in Ghana is good, fresh and without pesticides. and that GRIB is stepping up efforts to institute quality control mechanisms in the production of rice to meet international standards. Rice is the second largest cereal consumed after maize in Ghana and has become a common feature in Ghanaian diets. It is an important commodity, therefore investing in it was investing in jobs, especially for the poor farmers in rural areas. I will therefore call for collaborative efforts among the government, the private sector, the farmers, and the consumers in the production and the marketing of our local rice.
Stop rushing after tithes and focus on feeding the sheep with the word of God. That's a charge from the General Superintendent of the Assemblies of God Church, Reverend Dr. Paul Frimpong Manson, to pastors. He says pastors must go out there and preach the gospel about the second coming of Christ instead of parading themselves on billboards and using church funds to build universities. Reverend Dr. Paul Frimpong Manson was speaking at a news conference in Accra ahead of the Christ for All Nations crusade slated for next month.
We have a responsibility, pastors. When pastors are wasting their time on titles, now the pastor doesn't care who gives the doctorate. We are rushing for it. Titles upon titles. I am not against it. I had an honorary doctorate, of course, before I had my PhD. So I am not against it. But there's something more important. Bishops, archbishops, rest. Some pastors' interests are also robes and clericals, left reverence, right reverence, east reverence. I am not trying to speak against any polity or any ecclesiastical order. It is right, it is good, it is beauty. I appreciate it. Hallelujah. So don't get me wrong. I'm only speaking in comparative terms. The most important thing is go out there and warn somebody about the lostness of man and the coming of the Lord. Pastors, all the projects that we are doing without missions and evangelism, it is trash. It is nothing. They are useless. We haven't been called to do those things. I want to say that no politician can change the destiny of Ghana. They themselves need to be touched by the gospel.
We're taking a break now. When we come back, we'll bring you entertainment. Right, time now for entertainment. Miss G is here. Good evening to you, Miss G.
Good evening, Israel.
So apparently there's a lot that's been happening this weekend, well, apart from the party you went to on Friday night. The Foresight music video.
Yes, the Foresight music video awards came out. This is the 7th edition of the Foresight music video awards, and a lot of people were hoping that they will see more than what we've seen in previous years, but unfortunately it didn't live up to expectation from all the reviews we've got this year. The Foresight music video awards, it's, you know, it's way off below standard, that's the word, than what we knew it for. But all the same, good things happened at that award.
All right.
Yes, good things happened at that award. One of the things that happened at the award was Stone Boy now listing the top 3 Ghanaian dance hall artists, and he also beckoned Shatta Wale to join him upstage. So let's see that.
And this is see what we're doing for Ghana. Like, you know, we have created Afro Dancehall China for Africa, really.
So that's Stone Boy inviting Shatta Wale to join him upstage and give him a hug. And apparently what happened during the show was that anytime DJ Black, that's our own DJ Black, drops a track from Shatta Wale, you see Stone Boy on his feet dancing. And then if it's a track from Stone Boy, you see Shatta Wale on his feet dancing. Yes. So, you know, we've been asking them, you know, 2 of you we know do not have a good relationship. What's happening?
You mean you reconciled and put the past behind?
And so Stone Boy has been explaining the reason behind his act.
When we unite as a force, we don't necessarily have to be friends, but we have to know that unity is what is going to sell the country regardless. That's how come we have, for example, we have NPP, we have NDC, but everybody, all the parties, so to say, I'm just shifting it out from the musical scene a bit. Everybody is seeking to do something to push the country forward. So I'm just trying to say that it could be me, it could be a rapper, it could be a singer, but all we want to do is to spearhead the whole movement and lead the country musically to attain heights. You know, feed families, feed friends and fans, make people happy, and eventually it's all happiness at the end of the day. So.
Right, so we've heard from Stone Boy.
Yes.
What does Shatta Wale
Before we hear from Shatta Wale, their FEMA Awards also came up over the weekend in Nigeria. And Stone Boy also picked another award there. Riella also picked one. So 2 of them picked awards for Ghana at their FEMA Awards. And need I say also that Stone Boy won the most influential artist for this year at the Foresight Music Video Awards.
It's been good for him.
Very good for him. A great cheer for him. So let's go now to Shatta Wale. You know, Shatta could have decided, you know, not to even bother when Stone Boy beckoned him to join him upstage, but he's been talking about why he agreed to join him, and then also some collaboration that is coming up soon.
Oh wow.
Well, you know, I've always been expecting something like this. You know, basically anytime I go on radio, I tell people I want us to unite and really, you know, move this dancehall thing. So I believe I've been saying this on radio several times, and I feel it has touched Stone Boy's heart, and I'm hoping same way it's going to touch Samini's heart, because this is nothing that we should fight about, but to promote Ghana. So basically, I wasn't surprised when Stone Boy came in, you know, gave me a handshake, and, you know, we started chatting, and, you know, we started going gaga. So I believe it's one of those things I've been expecting, and I thank God so much. He's answered my prayers, and I'm so happy.
Are we ever going to have anything between Beam Nation and Shatta Movement family?
Yeah, very soon, most def, you know, because we're working on that. You know, I've told people who know Beam Nation management team, I've told people who know Samini management team. So yeah, basically we're going to work on that, man, soon, next year.
Right, so the bit that excites me is the fact that he's mentioned Samini as well.
Exactly.
We all know there was a beef between himself and Samini.
Soon we'll bring you Samini's response. Of course, we've been trying to get to his camp to know if truly they will want to have a collaboration with Shatta Wale after all that has gone through. Remember, I Vex Mad, just recently a song was released that was, you know, everybody thought it was for Shatta Wale, but let's see what happens. But then again, remember the Bulldog Shatta Wale issue where Shatta had said that Bulldog threatened to kill him just as he did the other guy. Well, we asked Shatta about it.
Well, Well, yeah, it's with the police, so that's why I don't want to talk about it anymore. Yeah.
But have you been able to have a talk with him ever since all the incidents and all the talk?
Well, you know, for now, I'm thinking of how to win some awards, so let me just finish.
And this one says he's thinking about winning some awards.
Yes, he's hear me bothered about what is happening, you know, at the moment.
Do you know if he picked up anything at all?
Shatawale, I'm not too sure about Shatawale. Right. I'm not too sure about Shatawale. But let's still dwell on threats. You remember that Yvonne Nelson went to a colleague in the industry's party, and a Nigerian guy actually asked her for a hug. She refused, and then he actually harassed her. He pushed her back.
Yeah, and I remember that story.
She made a report to the police, specifically to the airport police station. She said she showed them the guys.
So that incident actually happened
here in Ghana.
Oh, I thought it was actually out of the country.
Here in Ghana.
And why?
And she's disappointed because till date, the guy is all over the place granting interviews, but the police have not been able to grab him.
I have no idea. So maybe go to the airport police station and find out from them. I don't want to drag it, but all you guys should know is the police know the guy. They know where he is. They have all the details they need. So if the police is not doing anything, then well, it's a little shady. It's a little weird that they haven't arrested him.
So do we know who this guy is?
He's called Elvis. That's the name we got, that he's called Elvis. He's Nigerian, and the friend who is Ingrid Alabi, that's the name of the Yvonne's colleague, an actress as well, had a birthday party, invited the guy. She knows the guy, so she invited the guy, and Yvonne Nelson was there at the party as well. And she refused just to hug him, and that's it. And he decided to harass her.
I mean, if a girl refuses to hug you, you shouldn't...
The guy got shied, you know.
Oh, no.
But it didn't warrant that anyway. But let's talk about our own Ghana.Video.
Oh yeah, it was her birthday today.
Yeah, Ghana.Video.
It's her birthday today, actually.
She turned 30 today, and her husband decided to pull up a surprise for her. This time I wasn't involved anyway.
Turn up! Turn up!
So that paper you saw me holding, her little daughter, who is 9 years, wrote her a message in that, telling her how much she loved it. And you know, one thing that excited me about the letter, because I read it on her behalf, was that she said, "You're 30 and you're now a woman." You know, can you imagine? She said, "You're 30 and now you're a woman." And I'm like, 9-year-old baby, a girl. What has a man been all this while? She was a girl.
She gave you birth.
She was a girl all this while, you know. Anyway, but happy birthday to Ghana.Video.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Yeah.
I gave her a birthday hug.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, she didn't push me away.
Oh, okay. I get that. But let's talk about Davido. Davido over the weekend was in South Africa, and he was robbed. You know, yes, he was robbed. His own money was $55,000. Yes, he had that much with him. Davido had that much with him.
Why?
I don't know. And his money...
put it on his plastic?
You're sure man isn't. Oh, he wanted to show that he had money. So Davido was robbed. His manager's money is all totaling $185,000. What? Yes, that's how much they had on them. And 2 Rolex watches were also taken away with the robbers took that away with them as well. So that's what happened to Davido. $85,000. Yes, and he said all the while when these guys, you know, pounced on him, they came after him. He's Onwo Baba Olowo, the son of a rich man. Go and sleep, Davido.
Oh, but I feel sorry for him. But
Yeah.
he shouldn't be carrying that much money on him.
True. But you know what he says about his daughter? You know, he says whenever he sees his daughter, you know, he gets scared because it reminds him of what he thinks of when he sees her lady.
Anyway, thank you very much, Miss Entertainment. That's it for entertainment.
Entertainment news was
A time for sports, and Gary R. Smith has joined me. Good evening to you, Gary.
Good evening.
Are you looking all suited up?
Well, really?
No, well, you typically don't do that.
Wait, they said the video say what? Let me have time for him.
No. He was carrying what? 100 and together between
$55,000.
Yeah.
Really? Zoom in. Let me show you what money is.
No.
No.
This is not the kind of money we're talking about.
What are you talking about?
185,000. What you're holding is in cedis.
No, but
I'm not sure it's even up to $10 if you convert.
Oh, come on. This is racism. You know what I mean? Anyway.
What's coming up?
Yes, there's a rather interesting story about the African qualifiers that are going on. You know, Ghana will be playing tomorrow. But Swaziland, they drew Nigeria. Swaziland are playing Nigeria. So in the first leg, they drew Nigeria 0-0. And so Nigeria are playing them tomorrow. But the catch is, while Ghana's players are pining for $10,000, Swaziland's players were given a goat each.
Oh no. Just the goat?
A goat, yes. Goat. Not a dead goat, but a living goat. That was their package. And also, their bonuses have been increased to $290, and they're happy. Wow, yes. Different strokes for different folks, isn't it? Anyway, so that's the sport here on the Prime. Let's do that Swaziland story first. And like I was saying, Swaziland will be playing Nigeria in the second leg. The first leg ended 0-0 in the Lubambo Stadium down in Southern Africa. But the second leg will be taking place tomorrow in Port Harcourt in the south of Nigeria. But the story, like I was telling Israel, is that Swaziland, one football official in Swaziland says that he is giving them a goat so that they'll be motivated to beat Nigeria again. And it's one of the interesting stories that is coming out of the African qualifiers for the 2018 FIFA World Cup. And so this was the first leg. Nigeria huffed and puffed, but they were unable to do anything about it. And so the second leg will be tomorrow. Ahead of the game, Nigeria are under severe pressure because they have to qualify, and their coach, Sunday Olise, also feels that they have to qualify. And in another twist, Nigeria actually wanted to take the game out of Port Harcourt because they felt that the venue was not good enough. But when they wrote to FIFA, FIFA told them that you normally need 10 days to be able to make that change, but it was not enough time, so they will be playing in Port Harcourt. Elsewhere in African qualifier, Mauritania will be playing against Tunisia, and we have the preview for that one. It's amazing how globalization has taken us. Today, Mauritania is reckoning and becoming a force to reckon with up there in North Africa. Anyway, the Black Stars will be playing tomorrow, and as you know, something that has been a subplot even before the game has been played is the matter of the bonuses. Should they take 10,000? Should they take 5,000? Somebody has a take. Magnus Rex Dankwa, popular for his role in the 2008 Africa Cup of Nations when he was the chief operating officer, says that things must be streamlined and government must not be made part of negotiating for bonuses.
About the Black Stars bonuses and bonuses generally for all the associations, and I thought that government should get out of this bonus issue, and that the sports authority and the national associations, the various national associations, should have some dialogue, you understand, and reach a certain consensus on the way forward on how much should be paid for what game and all that. And then the responsibility or onus will be on the association to find the money and do. Because already the associations are supposed to be independent, running the various sporting disciplines. And these are part of the responsibility of the association. Because once you take it out, then you take it out from people holding the state to ransom because some bonuses had not been paid. Because the association should be able to budget for amount of matches that will be played, the amount of bonuses that will be paid, and then look for their sponsors to fund that. And once we have that, we will not have a lot of problems that we are having now. I think that the sports industry has great prospects. The challenges are there, but we can always circumvent the challenges and have a thriving business, which will offer.
Whatever happens, the Black Stars must make sure that the bonus row will not affect their performance tomorrow. Speaking of which, today the team trained for 2 hours this morning. Everything went well, and as we have been told in earlier bulletins by our correspondents in Kumasi, Asamoah trained and is likely to play. Also, this man, Andre Dede Ayew, has recovered and is fit for tomorrow's battle. If you follow the news, you do know that on Saturday, we understand that he had a bit of a knee problem and he had to put ice on his knee. But we understand that today he trained normally and he's good to go. So you can see that story on myjoyonline.com/sport. And ahead of that game tomorrow, we'll be doing more build-up in our subsequent bulletins here on Joy News. To golf, and this past weekend, MTN brought us their final golfing event of the year. That one was for the CEOs. It was the CEOs Invitational, and we've got a few shots of the event at the Celebrity Golf Course here in Accra.
Together, we have been able to organize this fine golf tournament today. We'd also thank the members of the various teams that put this event together. Today's tournament once again presents an opportunity to show that golf has similar attributes to business. In the game of golf, you need to focus, you need to plan your strategies and your techniques, you need to work hard to enable you to achieve the results at the end of the day. One also needs to remain calm under pressure. In golf, you come across various challenges, just as in business. Your ball may fly high, it may fly low, you may go behind a tree. You need to come up with strategies to navigate all that.
On behalf of Celebrity Golf Club, I wish to express our sincere gratitude to you all for honoring the invitation of MTN to their CEO's Invitational at Celebrity Golf Club.
Right, so after partying and all that, that's the end of the sport for today. We'll be back tomorrow with more, but don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms for all the news and updates, especially on the African qualifiers for the 2018 World Cup. I'm Gary Al Smith.